Loneliness is a devastating emotion, and not a single person escapes it. You can feel it even when you're surrounded by people or when you're with friends and family. Sometimes it's a suffocating noise, and other times it's just a quiet weight in your chest. In moments like that, a lot of us turn to fiction. Stories in all their forms, TV, books, games, have this strange ability to make us feel less alone, even if just for a little while. But sitcoms in particular feel different. They're designed to be comforting. They present a familiar rhythm, the same faces in the same places every week. Shows like Friends, Community, and How I Met Your Mother don't challenge you. They invite you to feel like one of the group. What happens when one of these comforting shows stops being comfortable? By March 25th, 2013, How I Met Your Mother had an episode called The Time Travelers. By this point, the show is well into its 8th and penultimate season. On the surface, it's a typical How I Met Your Mother high-concept episode. Future versions of Ted and Barney appear, debating whether or not Ted should approach a woman at the bar. There's also a ridiculous subplot involving Marshall and Robin fighting over invented a drink. It's all filler. At least it's what the episode kind of wants you to think. Because the real story doesn't reveal itself until the very end. And it's the ending that makes The Time Travelers my favourite episode of the entire show. At this point in the series, everyone around Ted is moving forward. Marshall and Lily are new parents. Robin and Barney are planning their wedding. Ted is the only one still waiting for his future to arrive. That feeling of watching your friends build lives while you're stuck in place is quietly devastating. And the episode taps into it in a way that's both subtle and gut-wrenching. Ted isn't really talking to Barney or future versions of himself. He's alone at a bar, reminiscing, trying to recreate the comfort of old times. He imagines a 5-year-old argument between his friends, and he wonders whether he should talk to an ex or not. He invites time travelers to feel less alone. In retrospect, the scene is now saturated with isolation. Then comes the ending. Ted decides to go home, and Barney delivers a monologue.
And you've been sitting here all night, staring at a single ticket to Robots vs. Wrestlers because the rest of us couldn't come out. Look around, Ted. You're all alone.
Then comes the sort of final monologue. Older Ted, the narrator, speaks directly to someone we haven't met yet, the woman he'll one day marry. He imagines going back in time for that exact moment, to be with her just 45 days earlier than fate allows, to have 45 days extra with her, and he'd give anything for that. There's no laugh track, no punchline, just a man alone, wondering about what he would do if he could go back in time, and talking about nostalgia and things he would do, people he'd see, things that we all do when lonely. If we could go back, what would change? And would we just want to see what happens, or what was like back then when we knew what was happening next, now that we can see it in retrospect?
But none of those things is the thing I do first. You know the thing I do first.
Hi. I'm Ted Mosby. And exactly 45 days from now, you and I are gonna meet. And we're gonna fall in love. And we're gonna get married, and we're gonna have 2 kids. And we're gonna love them and each other so much. All that is 45 days away. I want this extra 45 days. With you, I want each one of them. And if I can't have them, I'll take the 45 seconds before your boyfriend shows up and punches me in the face. Because I love you. I'm always gonna love you. Till the end of my days. And beyond. See?
The episode doesn't end with resolution, but with Ted walking off by himself to Robots vs. Wrestlers, still alone. For a show designed sort of around comfort and comedy, the episode sort of offers neither in its ending. Instead, it reminds you of how deeply loneliness can cut you, and how fiction, even in the form of a sitcom, can reflect that pain back toward you. It asks a question that lingers long after the credits roll. In the future, if you could come back to where you are right now, would you want those 45 days as well? Fiction is powerful, and one of humankind's greatest creations. It isn't just escapism sometimes it's a mirror. It can reflect who we are, what we've lost, what we wish we had. Sometimes entertains, sometimes it heals, and sometimes, like in The Time Travelers, it sits with you in your loneliness and says, yeah, I've been there too. That's why this episode matters to me. Not because it was funny, or clever, or even really surprising up till the end, but because sometimes you need to feel lonely. That way you know what not being lonely feels like. This episode was honest, and lonely, and dark, and sad. And sometimes that's what we need fiction to be. So we know what it's like for it not to be the case, and to feel, at least for a little while, not so lonely. To feel like other people have had that same experience. So, potentially, in the loneliness of this episode, maybe you feel less alone. And maybe that's what we need fiction to be.
Okay, guys, I've been waiting 20 years for this, just like we practiced. No mistakes. Ready? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
For the longest time. For the longest time. If you said goodbye to me tonight, there would still